quite honestly, we will hire anyone who's qualified. Everyone starts as a frontline police officer.
We learn different other religions and their perspectives too. And then we clear up any confusion or fog people has about Islam or Muslims.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum viewers. I'm your host Fahad and you're watching Awareness with Fahad. Guys, I'm here today with my new program and I'm waiting for so long for this program. I'm really excited about this. We have two distinguished guests in our studio today and they are from RCMP. Yes, viewers, RCMP, Royal Canadian Mounted Police, which is like a civilian police agency for anyone understanding. And I will introduce both of my guests individually. I have with me Imran Saeed, who's here with us in the studio. Thank you, Imran bhai, coming to our studio. He is one of the recruiters from RCMP based in Newmarket, and also he's covering the GTA. And he's here, he usually hires the visible minorities. And again, I want to welcome Imran bhai to my studio. And I have also with me Qasir Choudhary, who is a Constable Investigator in serious and organized crime. And I want to welcome Qasir bhai to our show also.
Thank you very much, Fahad bhai. It's my pleasure.
Guys, again, bringing them into my studio is my only objective is to give you guys a comfort level, because I have a feeling that people, especially from our communities, are not feeling comfortable to join RCMP. And that's why I thought, why not bring these folks who are the experts, and we will go through the overall process end to end to make sure we cover all aspects of it, whether it's related to the training, whether it's related to the education, whether if there's any other requirements we have. People usually think about so many other stuff. What will happen after the training? So these things we want to cover in our interview. So to move on, I want to welcome both of them, and I will start asking them. I will start with Qasir bhai. Qasir bhai, how was your journey till today? Being RCMP Constable.
It's as awesome as it could be, and I loved it from day one until now.
Mashallah. So when did you join RCMP? Did you start in that department, the organized crime department, from the scratch when you entered RCMP, or you went through different departments basically?
No, luckily I was given a chance into the federal policing. That's one thing. We have the contract policing too.
Right.
We are obviously the federal police of Canada, and we have all the provinces and the territories. We cover that. And then in all the territories and the provinces, we have one section everywhere that calls the federal policing. Mm-hmm. And luckily, because I had a background of federal corrections with me for about 3 years, so I was given a chance right from the go.
Oh, nice. That's good for you. Imran bhai, to start with you, how was your journey so far till today?
Yeah, so I've really enjoyed it. I've been a police officer. I'm into my 15th year, so I've been around for a bit of time. Unlike Qasir, I started my career in British Columbia, where I did what we call frontline policing, which is basically what people expect frontline police officers to do. Mm-hmm. So I did patrols, I responded to 911 calls, investigated crimes in British Columbia. So I did that for about 10 and a half years. Right. And then I was able to transfer back to Ontario into the recruiting unit. So I've been in recruiting almost 4 years now. And basically my job is to share our experiences as RCMP officers and try to convince people that, that this is a fantastic career. This is, that I've really enjoyed it. My partners have all enjoyed our time, right. and try to convince people of our community in this area that the RCMP is a really good career option.
And your concern is mainly the minority, right? So you want to attract them basically to join RCMP.
Well, I mean, quite honestly, we will hire anyone who's qualified and meets our qualifications and who is a good fit for us. Obviously, from a visible minority perspective, we would love to hire more visible minorities, more women, more members of the Aboriginal community, just because that's representative of Canada, right? So that's our job. Our job is to represent the Canadian population, so that we'll try to get more.
Imran, what inspired you to join RCMP?
Well, I guess I was that kid in high school who always dreamed of being a police officer. So, going through high school, I always dreamed of being a police officer. Nice. I told mom and dad that I want to be a police officer. We got into a bit of a fight about it because that's, it's being a police officer in our community. It's one of the, I think, careers that one of the myths I'd like to dispel, where, parents don't understand exactly what being a police officer is. And with the educational requirements, the training we get, I
would say that they don't have the full picture, basically.
Exactly.
Right.
So, part of my job is to try to, dispel those myths and try to come up with that.
And that's what my objective of today's program is, to clear the confusion and give parents and youngsters especially the end-to-end pictures, how things going to look like, different stages.
And that's fantastic.
Perfect. What about you, Qasir? What inspired you to join RCMP?
As Imran said it, that it's a passion. It grows with you since you're a kid. You want to be, you want to serve your community and where you live, your neighborhood. And exactly. And when I landed in Canada, the red surge, the RCMP, it was big. It was huge. I couldn't deny that. And since then, it was in my top priority to get into the police force. And here I am.
Good to know. So now we're going to go towards our main program stuff. If somebody is in high school, right? What subject he has to be like a master in, that will help him to get him hired to RCMP? Like what sort of subject? Also, what about physical fitness? Sometimes, some kids are involved in sports activity, but some people are not. Some youngsters are not, right? They prefer to concentrate on their education. So what was your experience so far? I would ask Imran bhai.
So a little bit of everything. I think it's important for young people in high school. And again, I was that kid in high school who dreamed of being a police officer. So, it's important for you to research the jobs that you're interested in and the educational requirements. To be an RCMP officer, you actually only need a high school diploma. Okay. But I would say a vast majority of RCMP officers and most police officers have some level of post-secondary education. So, as a recruiting officer, I've spoken to thousands of teenagers and high school students, and they always ask the same question: what should I do? And I really push them, say, hey, go to post-secondary education, whether that's in criminology or policing like I did, or even if it's in technology or sciences or biology or chemistry. Go to post-secondary school and do the thing you enjoy doing, because you're going to enjoy doing it more, number one. Yeah. And number two, you're going to be a lot more successful.
What about the grading stuff and sports? Like, do you think they have to be involved in sports? It will help them?
Being involved in sports is really important. And I think Qasir will agree with me. I mean, that level of teamwork, physical training. I mean, all that stuff is very important. Discipline, going to practices and having to deal with, say, maybe today's weather is not too bad, but 40-degree weather, playing cricket or soccer or something, that's tough, right? It builds a lot of skills that we look for in police officers. So, and being physically fit is very important to be a police officer.
What about the grade? Like, is there any particular grade requirement you guys check into?
No, so we look at your highest level of education completed. So we're not always super interested in like you must have a average or GPA average or anything like that. It is important for you to do as well as you can, because our training is very academically focused. So it is important for students to be academically well-rounded.
What about suppose I would give a use case, for example, if someone has done a degree, right? Like he has done, for example, finance degree, make an example, or art degree, right? And he's not getting a job and physically he's very fit, right? You think he can apply for RCMP?
Yeah, as long they have to have the passion to be a police officer. This isn't, this really isn't a job per se. This is a career. This is a lifestyle. I think Qasir will,
Qasir, you want to add something to it?
Oh, for sure. I started with the physical fitness, and to tell you the truth, when I had our competency interview, we had a couple of interviews when we go through the process, and most of my core competencies I brought it from the cricket field, and I loved it. As long as I remember, I started to play cricket as soon as I started to memorize things, and I still am playing cricket. And it's huge. It's a teamwork. It's a spirit. It's how you get back when you defeated, and how to get the strengths of your team. You work on building the strengths, and that's the main thing. And that I believe that's you only going to learn in a playground, that how to build on the positive and the strength of your team members.
Especially like working as a team also is very important, right? Like in my job also, I see a greater strength, right, when you're working as a team. And I think the cricket is one of the sports where you learn to work as a team. Right?
Absolutely, and it's not only cricket; it's you pick any sport, and it's very beneficial to understand, as Imran said it, that to become how to become our police officer is you need to be fit, mentally fit, mentally strong. And quick on learning things, adaptability, and all comes from the playing ground as well. It's related to, when you go to a game, you learn every day and you learn quick.
That's right. I would ask you, Qasir bhai, this thing is always circular, like in RCMPs, a lot of youngsters have this notion that, when they go there, from religious perspective, they will be bothered and, they will get the halal meat or not, like so many things going around in your mind. How would you provide your feedback to my viewers? Like how was your experience, Imran bhai? How was your experience?
Yeah, so mine was a little different.
Okay.
I went through training. I went through training quite a long time ago, and so there weren't our training centers in the city of Regina. And for those that have never seen Regina or have never been to Regina, most people consider it a lot of people who haven't been there would consider it a small town or small community. It's not. It's a very big city.
So you started your training there?
Everyone who becomes an RCMP officer does their training.
They have to go there. And for how many months?
So our training is 26 weeks long now. It was 24 weeks when I was there.
Okay.
When I was there wasn't as much availability for halal meat or restaurants or anything to eat off of base. So we do feed you while you're during your training. Funny enough, I got an email a couple of weeks ago from a brand new police officer who's stationed here in Ontario because I'd spoken to him through the application process, and he let me know that he was able to get halal meals. They accommodated Ramadan in terms of fasting or breaking the fast and praying. So that's a concern. I've gotten that before from potential applicants. There's always you're always going to have the ability to do those things. At the same time, I always caution people. We work, this career is very, very fluid. Things happen very quickly. And sometimes you're not going to be able to stop what you're doing and go pray if that's a concern. That's just the reality of this job. But if there's an ability to, it's really not an issue for you to take 5 or 10 minutes on your own to do a namaz, to come back and continue on your job.
Perfect. So, I think this is very nice. Do you want to say something?
And yes, definitely. My experience was entirely different than Imran. I went in 2014 and things were way much better than before. I was provided with all the halal meals. I was told, as Imran said, it's just like the things are so fluid and you don't want to miss something. But whenever you have time, there's always a multi-faith room. You can go and pray whatever you do. And I was given a chance. My graduation, that's kind of something very emotional. I want to say it in front of the camera that I wish that I could recite a Surah Fatiha when at my graduation. And luckily what happened that day, our chaplain didn't show up, and my staff sergeant, this sergeant major, came into me while I was sitting with my family. And she requested me, Qasir, would you mind to say a prayer before we initiate the dinner? And I was, wow, thank you so very much. And that was the luckiest one I did. I recited the Surah Fatiha and
there you go.
Can't thank anyone.
What else you need? I mean, mashallah. That was a very good experience, I would say, with you. Now we're going to take on to the interview process, right? Like, how would you recommend my viewers who are interested in joining RCMP? What should they do based on your experience? How would they prepare for the interview? Is it the easy process, or what key things they look for in terms of, for example, you guys send them for some sort of a sport or something, exercise, or what about some sort of reading, writing? Like, what exactly you guys look for, basically?
So it really depends on what stage in that process they're in. Our application process is quite lengthy, and it is fairly intensive. I mean, we've both been through it. It took me almost a year, probably just about a year. And there are many different steps in that. Part of that at this moment right now are a couple of telephone interviews. And really the key for any kind of interview is what I tell young people, especially people in high school, college, university who are preparing for potentially careers in policing, is to prepare yourself for the interviews. There's a lot of information online, both on our website, rcmpcareers.ca, and a lot of other police agency websites that will guide you through the interview process. Our interview might be a little different than the interview you may do with Toronto or Peel or York Regional Police, but they're similar in the attributes that we are looking for. That team that Qasir talked about, that teamwork, the ability to, the mental strength, being able to endure, potentially failure and carrying on and improving yourself. And so we're looking for a lot of those skills. So really preparing yourself for the interviews is really important.
So what things will like, suppose if I am planning to go in next year, for example, so what things I have to make sure, like, how would I find my current weakness or current state that you would say, okay, do your assessment right now, and the future goal is to fix those things, which will prepare me for your RCMP.
So I think it's about looking at yourself. Everyone has a strength and weakness. You really probably should know what that is.
Right.
Having the ability to prepare for an interview really is about that preparation. That's really the key, is to think about scenarios that really paint you in the best possible picture, right? So to think of scenarios or incidences or situations where you can say, hey, listen, I showed I had teamwork. I was a leader. I had great communication skills and, all these sorts of things. And really to think about these scenarios, write them down, prepare yourself again for those interviews.
What about psychological questions? Do they ask psychological questions too in the interview process?
Yeah. So part of our application is a full psychological review by a psychologist or psychiatrist. And really we're trying to get a better sense about who you are and the things you hold, the attributes you hold yourself up to. And so, there's nothing really to study for that. You just need to come in there, be honest with us, answer the questions. You will speak to the doctor, all that sort of stuff.
You want to add something?
Yes, definitely. As Imran said, I started from self-acknowledgement. The process starts from acknowledging and get to know yourself about your personality, who you are,
that's what I thought.
What you want to be. And that's the key. As soon as you realize that, and then it makes easier for you to move on. That what kind of qualities you have and what RCMP, the skills set they are looking for. And basically that main thing is that you to be who you are, not to mask in anything. You cannot, for the skill test, you cannot be who you are not actually. So that's the learning process. Sometimes they do ask for a young kid to go and have some life experience. That means that you should go and have people skills and get to learn like how to deal with the situations.
Right. Guys, we have to take a break. We'll continue with this. Keep watching Awareness with Fahad. Welcome back, guys, after the break. And you're watching Awareness with Fahad. And I have with me with my guests from RCMP, Imran Bhai and Qasir Bhai. Qasir Bhai, I want to ask you about this. For example, or Imran Bhai, if somebody comes to you and the doctor, when you go to a doctor first time, he does the assessment. So do you guys do something like that you can say, okay, young guy, I have assessed you, and I think those are your weaknesses. So go and improve those and come back.
So we don't have anything
was
that's
my
very,
opinion,
we don't have anything specific for that.
Yeah.
What I would encourage people, if they're thinking about applying, there's a lot of information on our website. Review the information on our website and take some time. And we also do online, at this point, online sessions, information sessions.
Okay.
Yeah, we would do it in person, but unfortunately with today's climate, it's all online. I would really, really encourage people, even if they're only in high school and they know they're going to go to college or
So
university.
this session is going to be like you're going to book a time or something? Or?
Yeah, so the information, we have set times and dates that we do these sessions on, so they can just go to our website. They can take a look at whatever date or time works for them. They can register for the event. They sign up to the event. We do a full presentation, so we talk about our basic requirements. We talk about the application process. We give them tips and tricks, and so that the young people or anyone can start thinking about, okay, where do I lack, or what should I be working on myself before I apply?
This is what I was looking for.
The other thing I would tell people, and it happens, it's applying to a police agency, whether it's the RCMP or any other police agency, is very, very competitive. So, it's happened before. You may not get in the first time, unfortunately. You may lack a particular skill set that comes out during the application process. And that's something you need to take in. You need to learn. Qasir talked about it. It didn't go right.
So you can reapply?
You can certainly reapply. Yeah,
is there
100%.
a gap? You need to make sure the timeline, like for example, if I apply this month, so I can have to wait one more year, then I can reapply?
Yeah, it depends on where in the application process you were deferred.
Okay.
So we will tell you, why you've been deferred, and then we will give you a timeline. So, there are plenty of RCMP officers who've had to apply 2 or 3 times, right? Because maybe they were too young, maybe they lacked the experience. Something went wrong.
So suppose, Imran bhai, if they fail, like for example, just give an example. So in physical fitness, they fail.
Yes.
So you will tell them the gap. That okay, in physical fitness, you have this gap, so you can come back next year and then you can, reapply again.
Yeah, again, potentially, depending on where the shortcoming was.
Okay.
Potentially, it could be 6 months. It might be a year or 2 years.
Okay, so you will let them know.
Yes, we will absolutely tell them.
Okay, perfect. So once he's going to come back, he's going to start from the same place, or he's going to start from the scratch?
So generally, we start from scratch, but because they've already applied, some of that information will be pushed forward into the new application. So I will say you start from scratch, but some of the information is going to be pushed forward. So
Qasir, you want to?
I just want to, yes, I definitely want to add it, because my whole process from point A till going to DAPU for 6 months for training, it took me almost about 28 months.
Okay.
So why I want to start this, it's a passion. And the commitment, and I remember I used to talk to my father. He died in 2019. That he asked me, "What are you doing?" I said, "I applied for RCMP," and he said, "What the heck? It's taken that long? I mean, what's going on in Pakistan that people become prime minister within 6 months? So you are taking that long?" So it was basically that was the passion and the commitment that I have to wait. And working with your stability and your strengths to you have to carry on until
you didn't give up, basically.
I didn't give up. Yes,
that's called objective, right? You have to go towards your goal, basically. There's one thing other that comes to my mind is about, suppose if I am doing RCMP training, right, and can I continue my education? For example, I'm doing my degree and I have done 2 years on my degree, right? I have 2 years left. So can I continue with that? Also, what other options you have, and what other incentive you guys give the student, right, to continue and move towards?
Yeah, so it really depends on the individual. We do have a tuition reimbursement program. Okay. I tell people my story because, I was hired with the RCMP while I was finishing my university degree. And so, I got hired with the RCMP. I went through our training. I started working. It took me multiple years to finish my degree. But, again, this is about commitment and my own goal. So, I carried on one course at a time, and it took me, like I said, it took me multiple years. But I was able to finish. But I was able to finish my degree. In fact, I'm at this point, I'm still carrying on my education. I'm taking graduate level courses because I'm interested in this. The organization has a tuition reimbursement program, so we will pay for your courses. And more importantly, I'm interested in carrying on my education or improving my education. So that's something I'm doing.
So do you guys also help, for example, if somebody got the training, he is an RCMP officer, maybe after 5 years down the road, he said, you know what, I think I'm going to do something else. What options he would have with suppose he has done degree and everything. I just want to give the whole picture to my viewers, right?
So again, it really depends on the individual. So we have a lot of specializations within the organization. Okay. So Qasir, here's a serious organized crime. I've done recruiting.
Yeah, I would let you put some light on that.
Yeah, too. So I've done some frontline policing. I've done some VIP protection work. There are dozens and dozens of different specializations. And so we get a lot of police officers who come to the RCMP who have a background or particular skill set whose goal is to get to one of these specializations. So,
how many specialized departments you have?
Yeah, so we have over 150 specializations.
That's the reason I started to smile as soon as you asked the question. I let Imran finish and I'll answer.
Yeah.
Man, you guys are big then.
Yeah, we're huge, right? So we do all the frontline policing that you will see local agencies do. We do all of that policing. So we have frontline police officers, traffic units, homicide teams. We have forensic identification.
So there's so many openings, guys, for my viewers. I mean,
yeah.
Do you have those things listed on your website?
Yeah, so we have a lot of them listed on our website. Everyone starts as a frontline police officer, and then potentially, generally does frontline policing for usually 4 to 5 years, and then you can move into one of these specializations. Qasir is a bit of a unique story because he's the exception, right? Most people won't be sent back to Ontario after training. They'll be sent somewhere in Canada to operate as a frontline police officer because there are skill sets you get from frontline policing that you may not get if you go to one of our what we call our federal sections. But what your career looks like is really the reason.
You can remember you can change easily. Like suppose I'm in his unit, and after that's how like I work for the bank, right? Sometimes I feel like okay, I should jump to this department, right? Yep. So can you do that easily, or you need some sort of approval from the top?
Yeah. So in terms of transferring, it really depends on a lot of things. You need to fulfill a commitment to the particular unit that you're working in. So like myself in recruiting, my commitment to recruiting was 3 years. I'm over that now. So I'm starting to have that conversation with my bosses about potentially moving on into something else. So once you fulfill your commitment, that's one step. The other step is obviously that other particular unit needs to have an available position. So, whatever unit that you're interested in, they may be fully staffed for a certain amount of time. And then you just have to wait until there's a position available, right? Yeah. We do have potentially, you may have to apply for the position. There's testing, depending on the position that you're interested in. We may do additional testing. We may look for people who have a specific background or an educational or previous life experience in a particular aspect.
So you guys get some sort of a review also, like, every 6 months or 1 year, that how you're performing and all those things?
Yeah.
You want to guess about
Yes. I started with I joined RCMP because of that we have, I got to know that we have 150 plus different departments. So I knew from right away, you know what? Yes, I can make it, and I can shape my career. I can see accordingly where I want to be, and I can work towards that. And end of the day, I'll end up there. And especially for any degree holders, they have the special degrees like computer intelligence, cyber intelligence, and we have different departments. The basic is that once you become an RCMP a member, then the field is wide open for you. And as soon as you get into your field, it's always a plus. Like you will get very quick and you'll be very sharp in your department. And it helps you a lot. And obviously, it helps the RCMP to develop on those knowledge and all the degrees that you bring in with yourself. Yeah.
So, for example, if I want to join, I'm like above 40. So you guys have some place for me too, right? Based on my education.
Yeah, so like I said, everyone starts as a frontline police officer. That's what we hire for.
But do you go, like, suppose if I join, this is very interesting, man. So if I join, then do I have to go through some sort of physical fitness exercises and all those sports and everything? Like people get scared about this.
Yeah,
right?
and so it is important. Being physically fit is important as a brand new police officer. It's really important through the rest of your career because while Qasir and I work in Ontario now, there's a potential that in emergency situations we could be called upon to conduct frontline policing in another part of the country. I spent
the basic training has to be
basic.
Have to go through.
Everyone goes through their basic training, right? And there is a physical component as part of that basic training. So, but there is no age requirement. There is no age limit.
Yes, it's look on this way that we have to bring everybody to a certain knowledge, a certain base. And the base is that everybody is a policeman and he can handle and deliver the policing duties wherever required.
Right. So, for example, I was talking about that if, later down the road, I said that I'm not going to work for RCMP. What are the choices I have after that? Like, I can work anywhere, or do I have to like I'm bound to it? Like, what sort of a
so we don't have any contracts per se. So some people when you join the military, you may potentially have a contract for a set amount of years or time. You don't have that in the RCMP. This is a career. If you decide 2, 10, 15 years from now that this is you've had enough, or that you want to retire and you want to move on and do something else, that's perfectly up to you.
You guys help those people too? Like, suppose if they go towards retirement and they're gonna ask, can you guys help me looking for another job? Like, for example, Canadian Forces, right? When I talked to one of my friends, they always help people, who are retired, forces personnel to place them into some jobs so they can.
So generally not, but there are a lot of skill sets that you will learn in policing that that will help you into a variety of different jobs, whether that's working for banks, insurance companies, other government agencies, as a private investigator or anything like that. So there are a lot of skill sets you learn as a police officer that you can apply to any other career jobs.
Okay. Now we're going to move towards the training side. So suppose you go you're selected for RCMP, right? What sort of training do you guys get?
Yeah,
it's vigorous. It's vigorous.
Like,
training.
I just want to get an idea, right, for the viewers.
No, definitely. We want to touch base. That's the main part.
Yeah, that's the main part.
It's really exhausting and physically challenging and mentally as well too.
Okay.
We have academically, like we in entire setting is like almost 8 hours of a college type of sitting classroom environment. And in that one, we will going to have all the over PDT and over physical fitness periods as well that adds on. And we have almost about 60 to 65 practical exams that you have to clear.
How many?
About 60 to 65.
65, wow.
Yeah, I've never counted them all.
And multiple choices?
I know it was about 54 when I left, and now there are quite a few more added.
Right. So these are, Qasir, is there multiple choices, or you have to write?
No, these are specific to those specific skills we are being taught at the school in the training sessions that you have to clear to graduate.
Right.
So you will be given a chance. You'll be first you'll be taught, and then there is a test. And if you fail once, you will go a remedial training, and they'll help you. They help you all along the way.
Out of the 100%, how would you describe 35% physical fitness and 65 around education, like sitting in a classroom?
It's hard to differentiate because, as I said, as a policeman, you need all your skills dynamically progressed. You can be very good in rational, you can be very good in articulation, but when it comes to physical action, you have to be as good as you are in your articulation.
Right.
So it's dynamic. It moves all in one direction equally.
Wow, that's nice. That's very good. Guys, I have to take a break, so we will take a break. We'll come back after the break. Keep watching Awareness with Fahad. Welcome back, guys. After the break, you're watching Awareness with Fahad, and I have my guests with me. I'm Imran bhai and Qasir bhai. Qasir bhai, before going on a break, we were talking about the training aspect of it, right? What happened after the training? Like as soon as you're done with the training and you said, yeah, you're officially hired, I would say, right? What happens after that?
Basically, throughout the training, there's assessment that goes beyond behind the scenes as well. All your trainers, they will give all the feedbacks, how your personality is and how you're developing. And accordingly, then they will start a kind of an interview process that where you want to go and where is the best location for you for right now. So they help you and you go along, and then they will give you some choices where you want to be. That's how it works.
Nice. What about there's one question, someone asked me about was there a strong representation of protected status group in the RCMP?
Yeah, so I mean, it's
for example, women, visible minority.
Yeah, 100%. I can tell you in almost 15 years of policing, not only I've seen a huge improvement in that, and that's because that's really our what we're trying to do. We're obviously trying to hire the best qualified people. That's what we're looking for, and again, we're trying to represent Canada because that's who we're policing. So there's a huge push, or really from a recruiting perspective for us, is to get the word out to women, visible minorities, Aboriginal communities, to say, hey, listen, the RCMP, we're hiring, and I don't think I mentioned this before, but we are in the midst of a huge hiring sort of blitz. 4,000 police officers is what we are looking for.
And what's the timeline?
Well, I've been repeating that number for a couple of years. We obviously haven't hit that number. We're not going to hit that number, so it's a really fantastic...
And it's in different departments, right? You said 150 or more.
Yeah, well, RCMP officers is what we're looking for. We do have those specializations.
But then you will decide later,
Yeah, so everyone starts out as a frontline police officer and then can potentially move on to those specializations.
So, I would tell you want to tell my viewers, guys, there's enormous opportunities out there in RCMP. I would urge everyone, please. Imran Bhai is here to help us. Please talk to them. They are here to help you guys out. And I think they have already clarified so many process. What you have to go through, what skill set you need. I think this is a very golden opportunity, I would say. Imran, what about, do you have to travel internationally also? Or just, in Canada, you have to, whatever you guys do and send an assignment for? Yeah,
so again, it's one of the units we have within the RCMP. We have RCMP officers stationed in embassies across the world. So they're stationed in the embassies for generally 2 to 4 years.
Nice. So if somebody wants to go to Pakistan and serve over there.
Yes, 100%. Right? Yes, they have the ability to do that. We obviously look for very senior, experienced police officers, so it's probably not. It's not something you're going to get.
So I think language will also help, right?
Yeah, 100%.
If you can speak multiple languages, right? So it always helps.
Yeah,
that's good. Till now, how do you feel being a Muslim working for RCMP? What is your experience so far? Like being a Muslim, basically. Yeah. That's what I would emphasize on.
Yeah. So, I've had a fantastic opportunity to learn and meet people from a lot of different cultures. I served in the Lower Mainland, British Columbia. So it was a very diverse group. But I met people from all over Canada. I met members from all over Canada, and you're able to explain the religion. You're able to explain the cultural values, and you're able to meet people who have different cultural, religious values. So it is really important. I've had a fantastic opportunity. I've never had any issues, in terms of being myself or being a Muslim, in terms of fasting or praying or anything like that. I've never had an issue.
Something to
definitely it's. As Imran said it, and it's as a player to represent who you are and your true values are. And I feel like when I read the Canadian Charter, it's entirely as what we Muslim as a faith we believe in, that every single adult has a right of choice, and then he has to exercise his right. Wrong or right, it's a different story, but that's how we are, and I loved it. Interesting part was, as Imran said, that we explain wherever it needs to be. When people talk about something about religious, we learn different other religions and their perspectives too. And then we clear up any confusion or fault people has about Islam or Muslims.
I will go to one of the main aspect of it, salary thing, right? Because everyone is worried about the first thing is what's going to be my salary. So if you want to share with my viewers, like what is the salary structure looks like?
Yep.
What are the benefits? So that of course people will get attracted. Simple
Yeah, of course.
That, right?
And it
this is a
important.
reality.
And you know what? If it wasn't a reality, I would question people, right? So, again, one of the arguments
starting salary and the benefit, and then how you get more.
So it's certainly one of the arguments I had with my parents when I told them I wanted to be a police officer. They thought being a police officer is really not someone who has a high education. It doesn't pay well.
Yeah,
there's no benefits and everything else. And and Qasir will agree with me that this is all entirely false, right?
Yeah.
A lot of RCMP officers, a lot of police officers have very, very high levels of education. Our starting salary, so you start your career about $54,000 a year, and then you progress through a pay scale fairly quickly. So within 3 years, our basic salary is $86,000 and change or so within 3 years. On top of which, you make extra money for working weekends and evening shifts, for working overtime.
Yeah.
We're in the midst of a salary negotiation, so that really is going to go much higher. I would say realistically, policing in general in Canada is a fairly lucrative career or fairly well paying.
So tell me, like, suppose I joined your RCMP, my salary in 3 years 84, right? But now I'm a cybersecurity person, right?
Yeah.
So for cybersecurity, of course, there's a little bit more value to it. So if I go towards that department, they're going to increase my pay?
Yeah, so we're all paid on the same pay scale. So whether you're a frontline police officer, in serious and organized crime like Qasir, or recruiting officer like me, with the same amount of service, we're all paid exactly the same. Realistically, though, by the time you include all those things that you make, I would tell you that a 6-figure salary, so $100,000 a year plus salary, is very, very standard across the board.
And what benefits you get out of
so like our benefits are benefits, medical, dental, members are covered 100%, or spouses and children are covered 80%. We can retire at 25 years. So I'm more than halfway through my career. I'm going to retire potentially in 10 years. I'll be 50 years old, and I can retire for the rest of my life.
And you can do some other
and I can do something else. I can teach or work somewhere else. So, in terms of benefits, salary, pension, it's all fantastic.
The kind of a last question before you want to give the message to your viewers, like what if someone comes to the airport, right? And someone has some issues with the custom or RCMP officer. You guys have some sort of portal where somebody can go in and say, I have gone through this issue or something?
Yeah, so if they have complaints about their interactions with RCMP officers, all the information is on our website, so they can do that. Be contacted by someone in that particular department who's not a police officer, who's not an RCMP officer. So they can feel free to lodge their complaint, and then we will deal with that. It is important for them to be able to do that.
So guys, our program is going towards the end of the show. So in the end, Imran bhai and Qasir bhai, quickly, you want to give any key message to, or I would say, how would you convince my viewers, especially youngsters, and to join RCMP? Do you want to have something?
What I would tell the young viewers or young adults, and really, I think it's really important for the parents to understand, policing is a very important job. It is a fantastic career. We have members who have all different levels of education. The RCMP is currently in the midst of hiring 4,000 police officers. So we're definitely looking for qualified candidates. And I would encourage you to carry on your post-secondary education. I really encourage you to apply to the RCMP. It is a fantastic organization, and I've had just an amazing time over the last 15 years.
आप उर्दू में कैसे एक मैसेज है?
मैं ये मैसेज देना चाहता हूँ कि मैं खुद जो है वो तकरीबन 4-5 ज़ुबानें बोल सकता हूँ, उर्दू, पंजाबी, हिंदी, इंग्लिश ऑब्वियसली, आई कैन रीड अरबिक, पर्शियन, तो आप भी आएँ, ज्वाइन करें. आपकी रिप्रेजेंटेशन होना जो है वो बहुत ज़रूरी है. मैं इंग्लैंड में रहा हूँ, एंड आई फील कि वहाँ पे जो इश्यूज थे हमारी जनरेशन के, हमारी थर्ड जनरेशन है वहाँ पे, जो इंटीग्रेशन के, तो मेरे बच्चे बहुत छोटे थे जब मैंने इसको परस्यू किया कैरियर को, तो उसमें सिर्फ एक ही मकसद था कि मेरे बच्चे जो हैं उनमें एक इंटेग्रिटी और इनमें एक प्राइड आए कि हमारे बाप ने या हमारे बाप दादा ने कुछ ना कुछ इस कंट्री के लिए किया है. एंड दैट्स द बॉन्ड, एंड दैट्स व्हाई मैंने ज्वाइन किया है. और आई आस्क यू एवरीबॉडी, प्लीज गिव इट अ ट्राई. इट्स अ very an excellent career, and you'll be always feel proud we are the flag carriers. I'm Canada ka parcham uthane.
Guys, again, I want to thank you guys. Really appreciate for coming to my studio. Imran bhai, Qasir bhai. I mean, it was something different experience. Seriously, guys. I would say, please. I mean, there are 4,000 opportunities, right? So Imran bhai is here to help us. You guys can contact me or Imran bhai. Inshallah, we can share, my email, and also if Imran bhai allows, then we can share Imran bhai email through you guys, basically. And I would say keep watching my program, and also like our Facebook and Instagram and YouTube page. I will come again with another topic. Keep watching Awareness with Fahad. Thank you.
Thank you very much.